The property has an Indian name. The Indian name is from a Choctaw word, and the name is Haanka, Ullah, and it's from a Choctaw village where Choctaw Indians used to live, and it means there cries the wild goose. Therefore, we have all kinds of things in the house that have to do with geese.
Is that why Kirk always uses me when I get
exactly. That's why when anybody comes to stay at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's a wild goose around, running around, waking everybody up.
There is?
Yes, there is.
A chicken.
A chicken.
A rooster, to be exact.
When we thought about the house, I realized that I did not want to be anywhere in the house where I could not see outside. So when we designed the house, we designed it with windows and doors everywhere. There's no place in this house that actually there is one. There's only one place in this house where you stand and you cannot see outside, and that's an internal bedroom. Any place else in this house, no matter where you're standing, you're facing outside somewhere. The house faces directly east, so we can see the sun come up every morning. That's very important to me. We positioned the house. We must have spent hours and hours and hours turning the plans left and right, north, south, east, west, so that we didn't have to lose any trees and we could still position it to the east to face the rising sun. We lost 2 oak trees, I think. 2 little oak trees. That's the only trees we had to actually cut down to build a house.
The beams, the large beams up above, we'd already designed the house, but then about maybe a couple months before we finally shut down our business down there and moved up here, I went into a house to bid a job, and she had massive beams just for looks running down the center of her house. And I looked at it and said, I really like that. So with the scissor trusses that are self-supporting, I put in an order to Sandstone Lumber for 2 large beams, and they brought them up, and the beams are strictly for looks. But they just kind of top off the ceiling and break it up real nice. The 45 pieces on the end with Richard Barrett, the lumber, and the reason we put that there because we got such high walls and so much window space that when you took and put your hand on the walls like this, the walls would shake. And I thought, well, we got to do something, so I found old pieces of lumber from Richard, and my dad and I cut them, and we beveled them and put them at an angle and lag bolted them into the walls so that the walls are sturdy now, and it really looks nice. When we're working in the winter time and we come up here and it's been 40 degrees all day, the house is cold. It takes a while for the fireplaces to put up enough heat to heat this house like 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, comfortable. So we went ahead and put the furnace in, the heat pump, so that when we come in here we can kick it on for a half hour, heat the air up while we're starting the fireplaces going, and then the fireplaces take over and we shut the furnace off.
Are we spoiled or what?
Yeah, really. So it's basically just because it took too long, because you get home at 5 o'clock, it's just starting to get warm at 9 o'clock, and it's about time to go to bed, especially if we were getting up at 5:30 or 6 to go out of the area to work. So that's what we used the furnace for. think we knew at that time that we'd set like a 5-year plan to
Yeah,
move up here.
5-year goal.
Yeah, figuring when the kids were all out of school, then we would move up here. So we had a trailer, and that was not big enough. It's hard to stop looking. I had a trailer, and it wasn't big enough because, you know, with 3 or 4 kids, it just was tight. You couldn't watch TV. There was nothing in there. So my brother built barns, and we got the plans from him and put in for a permit and decided that a shop would be the best way to do it. In the meantime, we had a local contractor come up and scrape the sagebrush and the stuff like that, and cut a pad down there for the shop, push some trees over, etc. And in the meantime, we're also kind of figuring out where we were going to put our house, which is right here. And so after we got the permits okayed, we set up a time to come up here and start building. And we had my dad and nephews, Clint, the family, the kids, everybody, and we dug the footings and started building the house or the shop.
How long did you live in the garage?
About a year part-time and 6 months full-time, because we moved into the shop and lived in the shop for 6 months straight while we built the house.
How was that?
It was an experience.
It wasn't too bad.
It wasn't bad.
We had our
It
own
wasn't bad.
bedroom because I have a gun room down
Right.
there, so our bedroom was in there and everybody else slept out in the
So it wasn't bad.
thing.
And we were too busy working to care about who was around and who wasn't, and so it wasn't that bad. When we built the house inside, we collected river rocks and creek rocks for almost 2 years. Every weekend, the kids and I and my sister would go down and we would gather a load of rocks and bring them up and haul them up and haul them up. And we have 2 massive fireplaces that are made with local river rock. The walls are all half walls. There's no enclosed rooms so that all the heat rises and flows through all the rooms. The half wall that separates the kitchen entryway from the living room was designed and built to fit an antique sideboard that we've had for years. The cubby hole for the fridge.
Yeah, we're using this end up cabinets here, which are only like 19 inches deep, where most cabinets are like 24, you know, for kitchen cabinets. And I didn't want the refrigerator sticking out 2 foot into the room, so I built a cubby hole so that the 8 inches or a foot of the refrigerator could go back into the wall, so it would be flush with the rest of the cabinets.
We have a one-of-a-kind house, and the reason we have a one-of-a-kind house is because of Joe Peterson. If it's not done perfect, it wasn't done by Joe Peterson.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful when you have a home.
For instance, all the cedar planks in the ceiling, each one, I took a router, we routed the end on a bevel, so that when you put the 2 together, and then if it ever dries out, you see a crack, but it doesn't show up real well.
Open.
Well, when we put the boards up there and put them together, if one was open on the end, he would bring it down and take a rasp and rasp the
By
end
hand,
so it was
every board.
straight, so that when the 2 together, you had a perfect fit on every board, if they didn't fit well. And that's how it was, and that's basically, if it was my house, I can see it from my place, so I wanted it right, and so did he. And we built it exactly that way. There was Dad and myself, and Nora and Dora for backup. All the kids, Big Josh, Little Josh, Kirkley, Gabe. Christiane probably was, because she only came up here for 1 day or
She
so.
came up one weekend and spent hours taking photos of a guy's butt. That's all.
That was helping us pour concrete.
That's it.
And then we had Clint.
And we had Greg.
Greg came over, he did my electrical and my roof.
We had Renee, the plumber, our friend who's a plumber.
Down south, Renee. John Gates did the backhoe work, put the septic tank in.
And Bob Birch did the painting.
Most of the painting. We had Bob, I can't think what his last name is.
Mason.
Mason. He did the drywall. Who else we had? We had a guy come in and when we poured the concrete in the basement. He finished the floor down there because we were pouring the walls at the time, grouting the walls.
And we had a fellow with a crane who lifted the trusses for the roof.
Yeah, and
that was
that's
it.
pretty much
That
it.
was it.
We did everything else ourselves.
We lived in the house for 2 years without kitchen cabinets because we didn't know exactly what we wanted. And we're glad that we waited because we found out that we don't use this house the way we used the house before when we had kids. So we designed the kitchen, we designed the kitchen cabinets, and we started pricing out kitchen cabinets to match this end-up furniture, and I didn't like the price. And I went to Kirk and I said, Kirk, why can't you build the cabinets? They're just boxes, and you built a house, surely you can build cabinets. And he didn't like the idea at first, but then he said, okay. So we spent 3 weeks working at night till 2 or 3 in the morning, and we designed and bought the lumber and built our own cabinets. And every step along the way, we would take a pan and measure the width of the pan and say, okay, I need cubby holes right here, and I need a 12-inch cubby hole, and this, and I need a 9-inch slot for cookie sheets and so forth, and I want my trash can underneath. And it took us 3 weeks, and Kirk and I and my sister Dora built the cabinets in 3 weeks, and they match our furniture, this end-up cabinets, and we made them for probably a fourth or less of what the price of quotes of other cabinets that we got. And then we put tile on them and they're done. And I like them. That's it. Since we live so far away from everything, you have to stock up, you have to store supplies. Plus, I want to learn how to can, and which I'm learning, and garden and so forth. So we built a 6x6, a large walk-in pantry that's right behind the kitchen. And when you open the door, the light comes on, and there's wall-to-wall shelves and a window at the end, and it's for storage, and lots and lots of storage.
are we today? The way his chest kind of puffs out when he talks. Yes? What else have you got on your mind? Wow. I thought so too. Well, I don't agree with what you say. No, I don't. Yes.
I've been collecting Indian Namaji pottery, and I've been for years and years. I have a large collection of that, and we have it throughout the house. And then I also collect local pottery. There was a lady who lived here locally who made Caliente Creek pottery, and I like stoneware and earthy pots and so forth. So we've collected a lot of her stuff. She no longer makes pottery and isn't here anymore, but throughout the house, lots and lots of
I think that's
stoneware.
a crock.
I do too. Oh, you asked me the wrong question. Every day, one day I stand in our shower and I say, oh, this is my favorite spot. And then the next day I stand in my kitchen and I say, oh, this is the favorite part of my house. The next day I'm in the old bathroom and that's the favorite part. And the next day I'm outside and that's the favorite part.
Kirk, what's your favorite spot that you've created here?
I have to like the deck of the house. I enjoy the deck. You know, it's big, there's a lot of room out there. I just enjoy it being up above everything. That's got to be my favorite.
All right, what was the most difficult thing to install once it was all over? What was the worst nightmare?
Actually, we didn't really have any
Yes,
real
we
nightmares.
did. The worst nightmare was the night we finished and we rubbed all the oak flooring down with Watco oil. We worked till like 11 o'clock at night. We're set down to rest because we're going to move in the next morning. And we had all these old rags over in a pile.
On cardboard.
On cardboard. And all of a sudden we started smelling something. And Dora turns to us and she goes, what's that smell? And Kurt goes, gosh, I hope it's not the rags burning. And we turned around and all these rags that we had wiped Watco oil all over the floor, spontaneous combustion or whatever, were starting to smoke
They were
and burn.
smoking. They were so hot you couldn't touch
burning.
them. We had one more part of the floor to do, and we go, well, let's go ahead and wipe that down. And we'd been smelling it, so that's when we went and picked up this pile of rags. And boy, it was just smoking and hot. And if we had went down and had been done and went down to the shop, it would have started fire. The night before we were going to move in.
We always joke about the fact that wouldn't it have been a bummer if we had done all this work and the night before we were going to move in it burned down because we left all these oily rags.
I'm very careful with Watco oil or anything now. Anything I finish goes into a bucket of water without fail now. The bay windows, his house that he built here 8-10 years ago has bay windows, and we liked that idea, so we made bay windows in the living room and in our bedroom.
And we were going to put bay window, like a bench seat through the bay window, and he suggested that we leave them open. He said, if you put a bench there, all you ever have is a bay window with a bench seat. If you leave it open, you can rearrange things. You can have a sitting area, you can have plants, you have more variety if you leave the bay window open.
The dormer.
The dormer window.
The dormer. We wanted light in the kitchen all the time, so I thought a dormer would be nice, and we designed a dormer into the house so that the kitchen would always be light. Because if it's like any other family, half of your life is spent in the kitchen with people sitting up here at the bar talking to you while you're here working, doing dishes, or just a comfortable place to sit.
And Kirk and Joe don't think I know this, but neither one of them had built a dormer before. And while they're building it, they're acting like they know everything, and they didn't know diddly.
I never built one before.
But it turned out perfect.
Yeah.
First one they'd ever done, but it turned out perfect.
But the most unique thing of the whole house are the hardwood floors. They come out of boxcars. And that's the most unique thing in this house. Well, I have a friend down south, Richard Barrett, that has a brother that works at a place in Santa Fe Springs that tears apart old boxcars. And he had it in his house, and I did the tile work in his house, and I really liked that. So Nora went down with me one time and looked at it, and we fell in love with it. And it come out to $2 a square foot. And when it comes out of boxcars, it's 12 inches wide, 2 inches thick, by 8 feet long. And it's got like some plugs, holes in it, where the bolts were going down through. And they take and they go over it and pull all the little nails out. They take all the anything that might hurt a bandsaw. They take a metal detector, go over it and make sure all the broken nails are out.
Everything.
And then they put it on a bandsaw, they split it down the middle so it's like an inch wide, then they run it through a planer on all sides to plane it out smooth. And then we came in and we picked up all this, which is a whole different story.
I think we bought 4 tons. I can't remember. We went down to Orange County with this trailer, which is a story in itself, because we broke down and we had AAA. It was a mess. We went down to Orange County and we got 4 tons of oak planks.
Enough for 1,800 square feet.
It was a trip.
Yeah.
And came back and stored it in the shop for 6 months while we built the house, and then put it in board by board by board. And we counted the plugs, and we figured we have 11,000 nails. And we went back afterwards and we plugged every one of those holes by hand with a little
Oak plug
with a little thing and a
glue.
glue and
Then
wood
we
putty.
sanded it down with a big commercial sander.
And sanded and wiped and sanded and wiped and sanded and wiped, and that's when we put the Watco oil on it that almost burnt the house down.
Which was close, really.
Which was
really.
close the last day.
But all the wood out of the box cars, rather than flat cut, it's like quarter sawn. Everything is on edge, so all the wood is cut on edge, and it's very durable and a unique floor. Hello, everybody. We've all had apples that you have to take a peeler and you peel it. So this is the answer to a hand peeler. You put it in there together, push it up there. Slices it and cores it.
You're not going to say dices, are you?
There you are. Perfect apple.
Plus, in all of his tile work, he's been in houses that are being built. And every house that he's done, not every house, but in a lot of the houses he's done, he would see something, he'd think, oh, I like that for me. And he'd tell me about it, and we'd go look at the house he was doing tile work in, but would be looking at the ceiling beams or the floors.
Now, was this before you knew you were going to build your own place?
Yeah, I had a lot of ideas.
So you've been collecting?
We've been collecting ideas for years. We'd go through magazines and pull out pictures of things that we liked and ideas, and half of them we tossed because they didn't fit. But but we've been collecting ideas for years. And then when we found this place and we knew we were going to live here, then we started.
Where did you get the plan for this, the basic plan?
Well, actually from a log cabin. We checked into log cabins, but they wanted like $165,000 just for the logs, the things in the ceiling, and windows and doors.
Right.
And we built the whole house for less than that. So I still had to put the floor in, the foundation, the roof, the fireplace, stuff like this. But the basic design was from a log cabin, the L shape. The sunken living room came from our architect. He was the one that suggested the sunken living room.
And some of the ideas came from Kirk's brother, who's a general contractor who builds custom homes over in San Luis Obispo County. And he gave us some ideas of homes that he had built and different things he had done that worked and didn't work and so forth. So it was a combination of Kirk and I and his brother and the architect and my sister and friends and everybody telling us different things that they had and didn't have. And
We didn't finish the deck out the back.
right.
Off the back of our bedroom. We've got to finish the deck there. We need to put a carport in.
Mm-hmm.
I need to build a little room over our well. We're going to build a little house
Well
over
house.
it, well house. Other than cosmetic stuff, that's pretty much it. Oh, and we're going to build a big stone entranceway. I'm going to build it out of block first, and then I'm going to veneer it with natural stone from around here like we did our fireplace out of.
And we're also going to build a line shack bunkhouse. We have some friends named the Stillmans who built some
A line
cabins.
shack?
And they built some with bunkhouses for people to come up. And we have a lot of people who like to come up on weekends, so we're going to follow their plans, and we're going to build a bunkhouse
So you can get them out of here.
so we can have people.
Well, because with one bedroom, a couple sleeps in the bedroom, and then everybody else sleeps
We have
on the
people all
sofa
over
or on
the
the
house,
floor
on
and stuff like this. So
floors.
we actually need another room.
Right. We need another bunkhouse.
So we're going to build an old style, saw it on TV one day. It was an old style line shack like John Wayne would come out of, with the old wood front with a couple of poles, a horse rail out front, and one long room, put a stove in it, a chair, and some bunk beds on either end, and an old metal roof.
Now, it's divided in half, right? The women have to sleep on one side.
Or wherever they want to.
And put-
I guess it depends on who they come up here with.
The basement, since I'm a block layer, also a mason, like any other man, we always give up half of our garage to household boxes. I don't know if you ever lived in a box or a garage or house where you had a garage, but we always give up half
I
of
did live in a box once.
And,
Yeah, really.
And anyway, I thought, if there's one thing I'm going to have a shop, and it's going to be a shop for my work tools, my playthings, my guns, etc. So I
man's
figured I'm going to
place.
put a basement in for all the household things, for all the canning goods, all the boxes. She wanted for canning to, work stuff down there. We've got electrical down there, lights and everything. She always has said that I'll find an Indian rock on the property. Well, we have some Indian rocks up above with grindstones in them. But one day we were walking down just to go out and walk down the creek, walked down the bank out back here, and she goes, "What's that real white rock over there?" Went down there, turned it over, and it was that one round Indian rock right down there. Mortar,
Grinding stone.
grinding stone. Oh, I don't know.
We had a nephew, Clint, when they were doing the roof, And we have a metal roof on the roof, and he's this big burly guy. He was on the roof, and he was up there pounding and doing, and he lost his balance, and he slipped, and he slid off the roof, and he dropped about 8 feet to the ground. And as he landed, he was so mad, he sprung up and he took a hammer and he just started hitting the ground and screaming and yelling because he was so frightened and upset and mad. But that's the only thing I can remember.
But he wasn't hurt?
No, nobody got hurt. We didn't have any downtime. It's like having a child. To me, it's like having a child, and you spend all your energy and all your time, and you want your home, your child, to be loving and kind, and you want it to be warm and welcoming, and you want it to look nice, and you want people to like it, and you spend all your money and all your time taking care of it. And that's exactly what we do. This house is just another big child that we're taking care of. We bought the property, we saw the property in April and made the decision immediately. And for 6 months, we made payments on the property. We paid the property off in October, and we had a family gathering with brothers and sisters and nephews. And one of my nephews is a born-again Christian, and he's a youth minister. So he came up and he blessed the property. Water began flowing down the creek that day. From the minute we found the property, from the minute the property was blessed, everything that we've needed literally falls into our laps. Everything.